Enjoy!
Hey everybody, this is miniGIRL. I'm going to jump right into the tutorial. First off, I painted the base a battlefield brown, or just any dark brown. Here's what's called a medium. It's a crackle, and you put your base coat on first, and then you put the crackle on after it dries. Then I combine these two, and after the crackle medium dried, I put on those, and it instantly began to crackle, giving it that desert look. I wanted to add a skull to my base, so I painted it Meneth white. I put a wash on it. I then dry brushed it with Meneth white again, and then I put on another dark wash. It was sort of like a black armor wash. I glued it down to my base to cover up that little indent section that's on the base. So I was covering that up so it wouldn't be so obvious looking. I added a couple rocks and I painted those brown to match the base. I know there's not much foliage in the desert, but even the desert has a couple little cactuses, right? So I took some khaki and I dry brushed the very tip of a plastic leaf that I got from the hobby store. I cut it, trimmed it down, and glued it to the base. This actually wound up being my favorite base. Sometimes less is more. Here's another base that I did, but I didn't have any of the props. It's just plain to show you what it looks like in comparison. Now I want to show you a different kind of a desert. So I went to my hobby store and I bought some building bricks made out of styrofoam. This is what it looks like, and I just cut them up into little brick pieces, and I'm going to glue those down to my base. I painted my base just a nice light khaki color, and as you can see, I'm adding glue and now the bricks. Now you can make the bricks of any height that you want. This one I added a 2-level brick, and I painted the white styrofoam that was showing up. I painted that khaki so it matched my base. I then added white PVA glue to the areas that I wanted sand to go, and I went ahead and sanded it, because after all, a desert does have sand, right? Now I am dry brushing using just like a ruddy color, the sand, and I'm going to add a wash to the bottom of each brick so it makes the bricks stand out. I added a little foliage, cactus-like type plant, and I did another one just like it but without the plant, and I made it taller to show you that you can use that for HQs or whatnot. Obviously the layout of the bricks is going to be determined by the pose or the position of your miniature. Now on to a next one. I cut off just the corners of the little bricks because I want to make sort of like sand dunes or like little teeny pyramids onto the base. So I sanded a base, I painted it bootstrap brown. I added the crackle medium like we talked about earlier. I let it dry, and then I added a top coat. And this is what it looks like when you do that on top of sand. It's difficult to see the crackling, not very crystal clear. I put those little pyramids on there, and then I added glue and I added some rocks. I then decided I wanted to paint the base a little bit darker color, like a ruddier clay type of sand. So I mixed these two paints together and painted the entire thing, including those little sand dunes, to show you what it looks like. I dry brushed using these two mixed together, a 1:1 ratio after it all dried, just to kind of dirty it up a bit. I wanted the base to look very monotone, much like a desert, so I painted the rocks also. Be sure to always clean up your edges, and this is what it turned out to be like. It's more of a bland type desert, but it still has some dimension because of those sand dunes and rocks. This is what they all look like together to kind of give you a comparison. Here's a hot tip. Instead of buying those bricks from a hobby store, you can get just regular styrofoam from anywhere practically and just paint them. And if you do use foliage for your desert scene, make sure you dry brush it with a khaki color so it doesn't look like plastic. Fast, fun, done. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next tutorial.